Fanfiction doesn't exactly have the best reputation everywhere. It's often associated with poor writing, ridiculous original characters, ruining universes, or headcanons that should have stayed in someone's head. I have nothing against the existence of fanfiction itself. You know, writing is writing. Sometimes you're inspired by someone else's work to create your own thing, and that's cool. Maybe you hated how something ended and you took it upon yourself to fix it. That's fine and good. Two ways of separating fanfiction are fanfiction that's based on existing fictional creations, and then real person fanfiction. Real person fanfiction is fanfiction about real people, and things can get very difficult and strange when we step into that world. This is especially true with how rampant sexual content is in fanfiction, including real person fanfiction. Another layer that makes this disturbing is when minors are involved, both fictional and real people. When I did my business proposal video, I didn't end up talking about it, but I was perusing AO3's dubious consent tag, and I searched the dubious consent tag, and I didn't even have to scroll, and this popped up. It was one of the first results. Excuse me? Years ago, I realized there's a lot of Yuri on Ice fanfiction where they're shipping Yuri Pasetsky. I don't speak Russian, but they're shipping that guy. They're shipping him with others, including Jean-Jacques and Victor, and those characters are 19 and late 20s respectively, and Yuri is 15. There's a lot of sexual content in those as well. Things get insane with real person fanfiction, like K-pop fanfiction. Especially with the Hive Boys, of course, I'm so sorry to them. There's a lot of very explicit and rather disturbing fanfiction written around them. There was one where the Yeonjun character rapes the Hyun Kai character, and in that, the author intentionally ages Kai down. It says that he's 15, almost 16, and it was posted in 2022. The author's note implies that it was written at least the year before, but that still wouldn't be the right age that he would have been in reality. The author's note also mentions the first year of college, which implies that the author is an adult, barely, but they still are. They're not 15. I had the misfortune when I was looking for things to screenshot of stumbling upon it in Hypen fanfic, and oh my god, the Sungun character is trans, and there's an OC that's a trans woman, and the J character, the Heesun character, beat them up and rape them, and I just want to know why this is what people write. Why? And there's no real indication that they dislike these people. Why? What? In that one, the way it was written, it was kind of like almost chat room format with name dash text and asterisk for actions, but it's presented as if this is like a story. It's not supposed to be people interacting virtually or whatever. It's a story. The sentence structure and grammar is just bad. The writing tutor in me was kind of appalled. So it suggests that it's also written by a minor. And then what minor? What are they being exposed to where they think this is the thing to write, and they know it's messed up? That one is called something like offensive because my humor is dark and edgy, and then the author's note or the summary mentions that it was too R-rated for Wattpad, which the Wattpadification of both romance and writing should be considered a national emergency, and I'm kind of not joking about that. It's bad. Now, beyond the obvious controversial nature of writing this type of content with adults, doing it with minors is especially heinous and disturbingly prevalent. Child sexual abuse material, which is the proper, though not necessarily always legal term for child pornography, is always illegal. Child pornography, really quick, is a term that should not be used because for it to be pornography, it would have to be consented to. Because if it's not consented to, it is evidence of crime. It's not pornography. It's not something that should be consumed for sexual gratification. It is a crime. And when it's a child, they can never consent. So any instance of child pornography is child sexual abuse material, or CSAM. So would this type of content count as CSAM? In the US, unfortunately, it seems like it doesn't. It only includes visual depictions, at least federally. It seems Australia includes writings, which is cool, and several anti-child exploitation organizations also consider writing. But in the US, where I live, at least federally, it has to be visual, and that should change. I'm going on record right here, right now. Written records that are disseminated, published, or shared publicly in any way that contain explicit content involving minors should be counted as child sexual abuse material. And the reason for that is because pornographic and erotic literature exists. It's a recognized category. And if the erotic content involves minors, it should be treated as child sexual abuse content. If it's written with the same energy as adult sexual content is, then it is functionally the same as filming a video or drawing the picture. It's serving the same purpose, and it's not uncommon for predators to create or consume written content as well. In 2001, Brian Dalton, a man who had been on parole for being convicted of the possession of CSAM, was arrested for not attending required sex offender treatment. His mother informed his parole officer of some journals she had found that contained fictional stories of the abuse and molestation of prepubescent children. This was in Ohio, where written work can be considered under CSAM. At first, he was charged and convicted under Ohio's obscenity laws, but this caused legal uproar because these were personal journals, so they were essentially criminalizing thought. For all we know, they didn't contain admissions of actual crimes, and so that sentence was overturned, and it should have been, because this isn't Psychopaths, this isn't Minority Report. At least in the United States, we don't criminalize thoughts. You can't imprison someone for personal thoughts, even ones as vile and reprehensible as these. The work under Ohio law should have to be distributed. But remember, Dalton had already been convicted for the possession of CSAM. He was on parole for it and skipped out on his sex offender treatment. We can't and shouldn't criminalize thoughts, but we absolutely should criminalize the creation or publication of content that, if visual, would be considered CSAM. Predators create and consume that stuff too, and it's not like this is like normal kid content that people are sexualizing because they're the problem. It is inherently, intentionally sexual content involving minors. They're consuming it the way it is meant to be. It's not them at that point, it's the writer. Of course, then we're kind of back to the question of fan fiction about animated characters. I haven't found laws that ban animated depictions of CSAM explicitly. Federally, in the US, they do ban drawings or computer-generated images that are indistinguishable from real children, but that wouldn't likely apply to anime, for example, which are clearly cartoons. Back to the idea of sexually explicit fan fictions with animated characters, it's definitely harder to argue the criminal nature of them. However, written work doesn't care about the inspiration of the characters. As a writer or reader, it's barely different. The outcome is the same when writing about Attack on Titan characters as writing about completely made up real life characters. They're all made up at that point. And predators certainly don't care about any supposed difference. It's still minors that you are aware of minors in sexually explicit situations. At the end of the day, fanfiction will likely always have a bad reputation. Obviously, good writers and good content can exist inside of fanfiction or come from fanfiction, but the high prevalence of questionable and reprehensible content will forever hold it down. The legality of writing sexual content about minors, whether fictional or real life, animated or not, is not 100% clear, but I am not joking when I say that some of the content that exists on fanfiction websites should absolutely see someone held criminally liable. And I pray that the actors or the real people that they're about never find them. Having the knowledge that, oh yeah, why would it not be out there, is bad enough. I couldn't imagine how some of these people might feel seeing it. It's not about me, and I'm disgusted reading some of it. Just looking at some of the tags, looking at the summaries, it's like, what drove you to put this out for the public to see? But that's all from me for now. Thanks for watching.